Apple Presents events at the Apple Store.
Please welcome this evening's guest moderator, creative director and producer, Kinvara Balfour.
I can't think of two nicer people that I'd like to be spending an hour with on Valentine's Day. I'm very, very excited about talking with the guys tonight. They met at Parsons School of Design here in New York. They collaborated on their final show, and the whole lot was famously bought by Barney's on the spot. Since then, Jack McCollough and Lazaro Hernandez have gone from strength to strength, and they've won numerous awards in the process. Their designs are worn by women all over the world. They're two of the most hardworking, influential, and innovative designers out there, and they're also two of the nicest. Before I welcome them on stage, we're going to take a look at the first half of their very recent fall 2014 show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Jack McCollough and Lazaro Hernandez of Proenza Schouler. Hi. Come and get comfortable. Hi, welcome.
Hello. Hi, guys.
Big crowd. Hooray. Big Valentine's Day crowd. Congratulations on an amazing show. We're going to take another look at the second half of that in a second, so we're not going to talk about that yet. Before we do, I want to go back to the beginning and talk a little bit about how you met and how you kind of got together, and was it love at first sight? That's a terrible thing to say on Valentine's Day, very cheesy, but I really actually mean it. You met at Parsons. How long did you know each other before you went there?
We met like shortly after, or shortly before. We both had transferred over to Parsons from other schools, and we met at a club. It sounds so cheesy, but we met out one night, like a couple weeks before school had started, and I'm like, oh, I just transferred to Parsons. He's like, oh, I did too. I'm like, no way. I'm like, what department are you going into? He's like, fashion. I'm like, me too. It was kind of weirdly serendipitous. And
then the first day of Parsons, we just walked into like homeroom, whatever, and we see each other. We're like, oh, hey, what's up? You're that kid that I met like a month ago. And we just like sat next to each other and, became fast friends.
Okay, and that's how long ago? That was in, take the water.
That was like, I want to age ourselves, but like 14 years or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
You don't look much older than that, so that's good.
We've been doing this for about 10 years, so that was 4 years before that. So.
Okay, and
14.
so you collaborated on your graduation collection, and that was something new for the school, right? So you persuaded someone somewhere that you could work together.
yeah, it was actually Tim Gunn was the dean of students at the time, our senior year. He was just the dean of students at the time. It was before he was all fabulous and famous. And we had asked him right before the senior year had started, we'd love to collaborate on our senior thesis together. Leading up to that, we were good friends, and we were spending a lot of time together. At Parsons, you have like a lot of assignments, a lot of homework that you'd have to kind of bring back and work on. And we maybe pulled like 3 or 4 all-nighters a week at times, and it was actually quite grueling. So we spent a lot of time together. He spent it at my house.
Pulling all-nighters in the club or in Parsons?
What's that?
Pulling all-nighters at the club or at Parsons?
No, at Parsons.
Oh, okay.
We were working hard by that time. And we just started hanging out a lot. When you hang out with someone, you start doing creative work together, your point of view start to merge somehow. And our projects started just becoming very similar to the point where they were just basically one bigger project. So instead of like competing against one another, which could have been very dangerous, they allowed us to sort of merge and become one thing, and it worked out.
It definitely worked out. So when you showed that collection, Barney's bought the whole lot on the spot. What did that feel like at the time, and what impact did that have on you as a business, as a fledgling business?
I mean, we really had no idea we wanted to start a business. When we had gotten together for our senior thesis, we didn't really know what we wanted to do with it. It just kind of felt right at the time, and we didn't really kind of over-question things. And at the end of the year, we were actually starting to go out on interviews, but it was weird because we had this like joint portfolio.
We had one portfolio between the two of us.
Yeah, and we actually went out on one interview together. And the person who interviewed us was like, wait, so I don't understand. I've got to hire the both of you? And we're like, yeah. He's like, but is it one salary? We're like, no, 2 salaries.
One job.
Two salaries.
I actually remember that very moment after we left that interview. We're like, how is this going to work? Like, maybe we should just start our own thing. And then Barney's kind of, it all kind of fell into place from there.
Okay. And had you done crazy work experience before Parsons? Have you worked with Michael Kors, Marc Jacobs?
A little bit. We interned for Mark and Michael before, and that sort of what led us to that helped us. When we went off on our own and we did our senior year collection, we like Michael gave us all his a lot of fabrics for our senior year collection, and Mark gave us access to his factories for our senior year collection. So we had kind of good quality stuff. So at the end of the year, when the judges, that's what's great about going to Parsons and just being in New York, is that the people that are actually involved in the industry are looking at your stuff and are involved in the judging process of senior year's projects and stuff like that. So Julie Gerhardt, she was the vice president of Barney's, was part of the jury when we were seniors, and she was kind of just into what we were doing and called us into her office to meet with like the other buyers. And before you knew it, we had like a little order from Barney's for our senior year collection. And
were your peers a little bit jealous? I was worried about everybody else in your class. Did anyone else get picked up by Barney's?
I don't think so.
No.
We kind of stuck to ourselves at school, though. Most of our friends were outside of Parsons, and when we were there, we kind of just were there to do our work and focus, not really socialize so much, I guess.
Okay, so that focus has stayed with you guys because you've actually won numerous CFDA awards along the way. You've been in business now for about 10 years.
Yeah, almost 12 years actually
12
this
years.
summer, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You have 2 stores, one store Madison Avenue, one store just around the corner.
Yeah.
we just opened our second store across the street that way on Green Street. So yeah, check it out.
What does it feel like? What does it feel like to actually walk in your own store? I mean, when you design something, Ajay Associates did the design for both.
Yeah, David Ajay.
You have your name on the window. You have the name on the mast, on the, what do you call it, the awning.
Yeah.
What does it feel like? It's a big
surreal.
deal.
It's still surreal. It really is. I mean, I think what's actually the most surreal is just walking down the street and seeing like a perfect stranger wearing something that you designed or a bag that we designed that they're carrying. It's like, I mean, it's so bizarre. I'm still thrown off by it. I mean, it's a little more expected when you send something to like a celebrity and you see it in a magazine, or if a magazine pulls it and shoots it in an editorial. But to see like a perfect stranger on the street wearing your stuff it's beyond surreal.
And actually, on that celebrity note, you are favored by, I hate the word celebrity, but we will.
So do we.
Yeah, there is. I would say in this case, in few cases, I'd talk about just actresses or actors on the red carpet, but you're so much more than that. So celebrity is a difficult word to replace. But you have well-known, cool style icons who wear your clothes. What impact does that have on a business for you? Do you actually see a direct impact if so-and-so is photographed in one of your designs? Do you actually see that impact as designers? I don't think people actually really understand what it means now that those people are your role models and what effect it has.
Yeah, I mean, we saw an effect, especially when we first launched our first bag, which was it was a success. Luckily,
PS1.
The PS1, yeah. We had we just designed a bag we believed in and kind of put it out there and had no real sort of like big major plans for it. That's kind of how we worked, really. We just kind of do what we like, and then if it hits and it sticks, awesome. If it doesn't, well, that sucks. But we did that bag and we really believed in it, and we sent it to a couple of girls whose style we liked and we thought were kind of cool girls. And it's amazing the kind of influence they have, because people are, interested in people's lives these days, as is evident in social media and whatnot. But people started picking up on that and started buying it, and it became this trickle-down effect, and it became this sort of really popular thing that we had no expectations for.
And you're actually getting calls in the store directly when something like that is photographed. Does it really happen like that? I think a lot of us all read, the power of celebrity, but it's interesting to actually ask the people on the ground at the end of that if it really does have an impact on sales, or if it's just a pretty picture.
I mean, it's hard. It's hard to kind of break it down like that because it's so abstract. But yeah, I mean, I think people do see things in magazines and they're like, oh, I want that.
It depends what it is. Like a bag, yeah. Like a red carpet gown, no.
Yeah.
That's more for name recognition. But smaller products like bags or wallets or like T-shirts, things like that, yeah, for sure.
Okay, well, talking of bags, we're going to take another look now at the second half of your full 2014 show,
Good.
which has some awesome bags, which I want in there. Okay, thanks. Congratulations. Yay, congratulations. Have you
That
watched
was
that?
2 days ago.
That was 2 days ago.
Yep.
So congratulations. It's been so well
We're still
received.
recovering a little bit.
I can imagine. What's the process for you actually on show day? Are you completely manic, or have you become quite practiced at it all?
Good, right?
Yeah, we're kind of good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the prep for the show is actually a weirdly not calm time, but it's like you're seeing all your work come to fruition and you're putting it together and you're seeing all the ideas you've been having over the last 6 months finally kind of become something real. So that's an exciting time. I mean, the months leading up to it are pretty hectic. That season and a lot of seasons, especially lately, we develop all our fabrics completely custom from scratch. Every single one of them. We work with a number of fabric mills on developing, creating new techniques. So it's tough and time is tight, and it's like this kind of mad scramble to get it all done on time.
And is one of you like nervous one day and the other one nervous the next, or you tend to sort of stay at the same emotional level together?
We balance each other out. It's good that there's two of us. When one of us is freaking out, the other one sort of is on even keel, and vice versa.
Right. And then once the show is done, what's your process now? I mean, what journey do those clothes have?
Well, now the process is that, we have a showroom and all the buyers come in from all the stores internationally, and they start placing orders on those clothes. And what you saw is just maybe 1/4 of the entire collection. We have a really sort of harsh editing process where we kind of cut out, I would say 75% of the stuff we make gets cut out of the show, we just show sort of like the stuff we believe in, just 36 looks, I think, this season. But the showroom has like, a bunch of stuff, like all the T-shirts and pants and the normal jackets and sweaters and things that are sort of more, easier to digest. I think this is just more the idea of a collection rather than the actual product that we're sort of selling, the only product that we're selling. There's a lot more to it than just that.
Okay, it's such a cheesy question. What was your inspiration for this show? But do you actually look at specific things each season, something different? Do you sit down together for a certain amount of time to sketch, or are you doing this all the time over and over?
Yeah, I think our process kind of has been changing over the years, and it evolves differently, and every season's kind of different. Some seasons will be hugely inspired by travel. We do a lot of travel, Lazaro and myself, and we go off to places and usually come back wanting to take things in a certain direction. Other times it'll just be a piece of art we saw. This time it was kind of more of a mood. We were throwing around some adjectives that kind of felt right for us. The last couple seasons have been a little more sober collection-wise for us, especially on like a color palette level, and we want to kind of take things into a direction that felt like a little more fast and something that felt like a little more energetic, something that felt like a bit more kind of kinetic.
And with a little humor.
Yeah, with a little humor involved as well. So that was kind of the starting point, but we'd also we'd been in Venice to the Biennale, and we came across this ceramicist named Ron Nagel. We saw his art there, and that kind of got us going off on a tangent. But I mean, every season it's a number of references that we kind of compile together, and I'm bringing different stuff to the table than Lazaro, and vice versa.
I think what makes it really interesting for us is that there's two people working on this at the same time. If it was any one of us individually, it would look completely different from what it is. We always say, if I want to do black and he wants to do white, we end up doing gray. And that's sort of that's the truth of it. It's the combination of these two random ideas that sometimes have nothing to do with each other. Our most successful collections, we think, are the ones where we approach the situation from two completely different points of view, and we have to find this middle ground. Sometimes it's difficult for us to sort of find that middle ground, but once we reach that place, we think that the results are stronger than any of our individual starting points.
Okay, well, in addition to your inspirations on that, you actually both really, really love to work with emerging directors, artists, creatives. We're going to take a look at a film now called Desert Tide, which you can tell us a little bit more about afterwards and why you choose to work with all these people. So this is called Desert Tide. I love that. I've watched that quite a few times. Tell us about that. Tell us about that. Why, how that came about, who you chose to work with on that.
That's when we opened our first store, I think, up in Madison. We worked with Jack's sister actually on that video.
Yeah, I saw she's the creative director.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did it on Second Life with these Second Life animators. Went to like a video using kind of cartoons, and it was actually supposed to be for the window. We kind of treat our windows in our stores like these sort of creative spaces where we like to explore just ideas and just like random vibes and use it more as an installation space, not necessarily like to like sell product, just more for mood and I don't know, it's like more of an artistic sort of endeavor sometimes.
But I love that. That's, for me, that's just so cool.
It's great that we get to do that.
Right.
No one's told us no yet.
Okay.
We've got a very structured kind of seasonal schedule when it comes to putting our collections together. So we like doing these little side projects that can just kind of exist on the internet or exist in our stores or on our website and not really even have a purpose necessarily.
And why... you choose with all the emerging artists and directors. Are these your friends that you come across, people you meet, people you hang out with in Biennale?
I mean, people like my
anybody?
sister, to like, we've done a bunch of stuff with Harmony Korine. He's made a couple short films for us, with us. So, yeah, I think it's going to be something we're definitely going to continue on doing.
Like what Jack is saying, we have like this sort of seasonal rigor that we do every twice a year, these collections. It's nice to explore these creative projects outside of that aren't necessarily commercial. Sometimes we just want to explore sort of creativity and art and just partnerships and things of that nature. And, you know, it's not necessarily to like sell clothes or whatever. It's just to express some sort of feeling, I guess. That's why we did that and why we do a lot of other kind of things like that.
Okay, and you reference that you have a lot of kind of references to technology in your work, in the films as well as your actual clothes. Tell us a little bit about how technology has changed the way that you guys work over 10 years and how you actually use technology now for your own lives. How do you digest your information? What are you doing? What are you using? You're huge on Instagram. You have very loyal, very vocal followers. We can share the journey of all these clothes, share all of this on your YouTube channel and everything. Is this something that you just embrace really automatically, or are you way ahead of the curve? Or
It's just our generation, I think. I mean, we grew up with computers and with, you know, Nintendo and the internet. Like, I don't remember a time when we didn't have technology as part of our life. It just seems like a natural thing for us. We've never second doubted it.
Okay. And do you use apps? What are your favorite apps? What are you doing on your iPhones? Anything specific? Ordering? Any special games you love?
It's quite funny because we're actually very analog, actually. And when it comes to like our creative process, we're like a pencil and paper kind of people.
Okay.
But our team is like, I mean, a lot of young people on our team, and they're huge into computers, and they're geniuses at Photoshop and Illustrator and all that kind of stuff. So we like kind of mixing those two worlds. We love starting off, at least from a creative process, we love starting off very analog and then slowly plugging it into this very technological kind of
Right, it seems
structure.
like a good blend.
Yeah.
It seems like a good
Yeah.
blend because to me you seem like a really tech-savvy, tech-forward company, especially even with some of those fabrics that you use.
Yeah.
To me...
I mean, it's kind of a mixture of like craft and something a bit more technological or some sort of technological innovation.
That's the future of fashion for us. Nowadays, with all these computers and whatnot, the fabric looms, the machines that make fabrics are so advanced. You can weave pieces of plastic together to create textiles. You could weave like pieces of chain with like leather and organic materials, put it all together and create fabrics that with machines and bond them and then melt them and then recomposition them. There's all these crazy things. We did this technique called high frequency last season, which is like this foam-filled fabric that expands to create this kind of lace effect. It's amazing what you can do technologically now. We like to, we like to think that a lot of silhouette has been explored in fashion history. And at the end of the day, the body has 2 arms and 2 legs and has a very specific sort of shape. But what you can do with surface nowadays is insane. And it's something that's very sort of contemporary and very 21st century. To create these kind of textiles. So we're having a lot of fun using technology to create these really sort of modern fabrics and then cutting sort of traditional, beautiful clothes out of these very 21st century sort of materials.
Right. Yeah. Now the combination for that, I think, really sets you apart. If you would like to ask Jack or Lazaro or both of them a question, just raise your hand and one of the Apple team will come to you.
Hi. I'm a student at Parsons as well. I see a lot of references to net art or RGB, like that rich blue that you use in your fabrics all the time and in your logo. what gave you the idea to use like RGB links and the internet? I know it's like trending right now, but you guys stay so current. And how do you stay current? That's my question.
That's a tough question. You answer that. I don't know.
I think you just have to be curious as an individual. We're just really curious people. We're always sort of like looking out for like, what's interesting, what's new. I think we're really ADD and we get bored quite easily, which is kind of a problem sometimes. So that's why we're always sort of on to the next. So whenever we sort of experience like something new or something that seems fresh or never been done before, we sort of gravitate towards that. And yeah, the emergence of like the internet, like Tumblr and all that imagery and all that sort of that whole aesthetic that's sort of been, like you said, trending. All that stuff feels really new and very of today. It didn't exist yesterday. It's very much about now. And for us, Proenza Schouler is very much a reflection of what's happening in contemporary culture. It's always a reaction to contemporary culture. So it's our job to sort of stay current.
What's next? Any secrets that you have of the next big cool new website we should know about? Any avatars?
We can't give away all our secrets.
Okay, all right. We'll keep looking. Okay, we have time. We have. All right, one or two more questions.
Hey, I was just wondering, when you first started doing bags, it seems so different than designing clothes on the body, and I was just wondering how you started working on it and just how you developed.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of happened really organically, actually. We always wanted to do bags the second we started our line, but we didn't really want to put something out there until we felt like we had something kind of new to say. And our first bag, which is that PS1 bag, which we launched, I guess, 5-6 years ago now. We kind of put that out at the time where it was kind of in a way like the anti-it bag. We wanted to strip it of like hardware, all the like chains and zippers and locks, and all these bags seemed to be covered in logos and all this stuff. And we wanted something that felt just a bit softer and easier and a bit more discreet, and something that felt kind of timeless in a way, something you could imagine kind of pulling out of your closet in 10, 20 years and it still felt right. So that was kind of where we started with that bag. I guess we didn't realize it was going to become like another it bag.
The irony.
Maybe we failed on that level. But bags, I mean, bags are great because it's kind of like an extension of the girl. On a show level, we love that it could be this extension of the girl, or it could be saying something completely different than what the clothes are saying. So it just adds this other layer. And then on a commercial level, it's fantastic, just because, I mean, the clothes we make are clothes that you can't necessarily wear all the time. And a bag you could get, it's one size fits all. It's a little more democratic. You can use it every single day. And so there's something kind of interesting about bags on that level as well. So.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, next question. I know we're running out of time.
I was just curious if you guys have a personal favorite collection from the past that you've designed. Mine is
Personal
Spring 12.
favorite. Yours is Spring 12.
Loved it.
Which
Spring 12.
Which one was that one?
Like the weird Gucci architecture.
Oh yeah, that
right.
one. Yeah. Oh, yeah, cool. I like they like
Pebbles
that
on
one.
the ground.
I mean, for us, towards the last collection, until like maybe like in a month from now, it'll be our least favorite collection.
I
think we have to destroy the last collection in our head to sort of move on. Every collection is sort of a reaction to the collection before that. And I think that's what sort of, gets us going creatively. We have to destroy whatever we've been into. I mean, also when you're doing a collection, you're so into this vibe and everything in that world, and you're really sort of invested in that world. And then when you're done with it, like you do not want anything to do with that world ever again, or for a bit at least. So we always sort of turn the page and move on to the next thing that's sort of interesting to us. And it's usually the opposite of whatever we're just sort of, vibing with. So yeah, it's a little kind of a crazy process.
Makes sense. Okay, thank you. One more question, and then I know that I'm going to run out of told off.
Hi, first and foremost, thank you for being here. My name is Amanda. I'm currently working on my thesis at Parsons. And my question is, speaking to what you were previously saying, when you have like this perpetual, like what's next, and you keep thinking of these new ideas, how do you stop yourself and say, like, this is the collection, this is what we want to speak to this season? And
I mean, for us, we feel our strongest collections are the collections we haven't really overthought and belabored over, and really just kind of we go with our gut usually, and if something kind of comes into our thought or we see something and maybe it's not even that interesting, we still kind of roll with it because that usually leads us to another idea, and it's usually like this mixture of like lots of smaller ideas actually that we kind of group together, and it slowly builds up and snowballs and becomes this thing that's a little more something you could put your finger on. So I don't know, we just don't know, we don't overthink it, we just go for it. And I usually kind of go for some idea I'm feeling, and Lazaro usually goes for something that's completely different, and then we figure out a way to mash those together, and that's usually how our process starts. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's sadly all we've got time for. Thank you so much to Jack and Lazaro for joining us after a very, very busy week for them. I'm very, very honoured.
Thank you, guys.